Hey y'all, my name's MomoMorgana and welcome back, or welcome to, the Sims 4 Ultimate Decades Challenge. Now this isn't an actual episode of the challenge, this is just an update video on my side households, or more specifically, the children of my side households, who we don't really get the chance to follow that often. So, in my gameplay, personally, if you're following the Ultimate Decades Challenge just in general, you'd know that we have main households and side households. While side households obviously have some rules that we can follow and, you know, life things that we can kind of keep track of, it becomes a bit difficult the more they have children and once those children grow up. So for my personal gameplay, one of the rules I have in place is that for my side household, once their youngest child ages up into a teenager, because they're pretty much old enough to do whatever they want, like get married and live their own lives, in order to allow the game to just kind of do its thing and let them have their own lives, I relinquish my control over them and just let the game do whatever it wants with them. Only people I actually kind of limited would be the original Sims that started said household, because they can only have like a certain number of children or something like that, right? So I just use my mods to make sure that certain people, like their parents who started the side households, can't get pregnant again because they already got their pregnancy attempts or can't get remarried, blah, 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 right? So what I'm gonna do is go through my side households. As of right now, I only had, how many side households in total? I only had side households from my Gen 3, and there was only 1, 2, 3, 4 of them from Gen 3. And one of them I still have control over because there's one child who's still a child and not quite yet a teen. And we're going to be following the 3 households that I hadn't had control over in the past few years. Now, obviously, they came with a lot of children, and trust me, they all have a lot going on. So what I'm going to do is follow them from least to most dramatic households, which is why we're starting with the most peaceful household out of all my side households, being Marjorie's household. So as you can see here on screen is Avery. Here at home, he is actually still at the house. So if you don't remember Avery, or if you're new to the series and just watching an update video, Avery is the son, the last-born son, and last-born child in general of my original side household creator / sim, Avery Jones, who is part of my Gen 3. You can see her story by watching the series if you're not here, or if you haven't already been following. Marjorie married this nice young man named Mahe. Well, he's not so young anymore, but once they were young and free. They moved to the hillsides out there outside of the main city of Windenburg, and they had 3 children, a girl and 2 boys. Unfortunately, they lost their girl long ago, but their 2 boys survived. And so we're going to be following and seeing what everyone's up to. So the only one in the household is actually the younger brother Avery, and we'll see what his brother got up to in just a bit. Now, Avery is still a teenager, but he actually got married. He found his soulmate. I recently downloaded the soulmates mod to my game just to make things a bit more interesting and shake things up a little bit. That's not Avery. This is Avery. So for those of you who haven't met Avery, he, once again, teenage sim, lives here in Windenburg. His parents make their money by breeding and selling wolves. He got the traits home chef, kind, timid, and vegetarian. He knows Windenburgish because I downloaded their language mods recently as well. He is straight and believes in the occult, which makes sense because, you know, he has some extended family members who are in occult. And his agender, I usually switch between using he, they pronouns for him, but considering that this update video takes place around 1369, 1370, I don't quite think he has access to the knowledge about what his true gender identity is and how he wants to be perceived. This is just something he feels internally, but he's not quite really able to express it, if that makes sense. Wow. Is it really one of my videos if my phone doesn't go off? And he's got some low self-esteem because he's I don't know, he's just like that. Now, here's his update, because last we saw of him, he just aged into a teenager, and then I let the game go. It didn't take long for him to marry this woman who is older than him, like around the same age as his mom, which is really awkward. Her name is Brielle. I didn't change her name. Gabriel Jones. She took on his last name. Y'all don't really know Brielle, but I do. And that's because she's actually from Henford-on-Bagley. And which, once again, is some pretty deep lore if you follow my actual Ultimate Decade Challenge series. But basically, long story short, she was the wife of the former lord who passed away of old age. He was a bit older than her. And she had some children with him. And she brought her children along when she met Mahe and married him. For some reason, they're soulmates. Don't even ask me why, but somehow or another, not Mahe, what's her name? Avery and Brielle somehow crossed paths and they got married. As of now, they don't have any biological children together. I don't know if he wants any. I don't know if she wants any more because she's pushed out quite a few and they're a bit on the older side because they are his age. They are her current husband's age. They're Avery's age, which is probably a little awkward, but whatever. So Avery's two stepchildren are technically Caitlin Harrington and this guy named Cordell. Cordell's slightly younger than Avery, but not by much, to be completely honest. And these are actually the half-siblings to Diamond, Lady Diamond. If you don't remember Lady Diamond, this is one of my main household sim. Her name is Mary. She has some nieces and nephews. This is one of her nieces who still lives in Henford-on-Bagley. So we see her quite a bit. She was pretty close with her cousins, mostly Grogo, and you'll see what happened to Grogo. We all know what happened to Grogo. So yeah, so they moved out of Henford-on-Bagley to Windenburg, and I guess they met Avery when he and his family was visiting Henford-on-Bagley at some point or another, realized they were soulmates, and then got married. So yeah, as of right now, they have a pretty good relationship, to be honest. I'll press play, they was all paused. They have a pretty good relationship, to be completely honest. Do any of you want anything? He wants to be friendly with her. She's just doing her own thing. So I don't necessarily think Avery's parents approve too much of this relationship. I think they feel that Brielle is kind of taking advantage of Avery because he's so soft-spoken, but I don't know. He's a man and he's old enough to make these decisions on his own. So I think they're just letting him be. They actually have more than enough room for everybody here to live comfortably. Unless they decide to have children, then Brielle's older kids will have to get married and move out or something like that. I don't think anyone's really worried about that. Now, as for work, Avery, what do you do? So Avery mostly helps out around the house with the wolves and everything. But this isn't official. This is just what I have a headcanon in my head for. He really likes to cook. So I actually think he would not be a restaurant owner because actual restaurants don't exist for another few centuries in the way we think of restaurants today. But there is something called, gosh, you'd think I'd be way more prepared when I have this conversation. I forgot the name of it because I googled it and I guess I exited off of what I googled, but it's called like cook workers, cook something. But basically it's people who they're not necessarily chefs in terms of like being a servant for a noble or a lord or anything like that, and they obviously don't own restaurants, but they sell specialty items and cooked food. So it could be anything from like specifically selling cheeses and smoked sausages or even like meat pies and things like that. So I think that's what he does for some spare money. I'd like to imagine that he's probably getting his name out there, and he's not necessarily noble, but I'd imagine some of the local lords probably have heard of him and invite him to cook for them every now and again. And honestly, as he increases his skills, he could probably get a pretty nice position as like an official cook for the Windenburg Lord or higher. So I don't know. Hopefully he actually takes the opportunities that may come for him and grasps onto them. He has really low self-esteem, so I think that he lets other people make these decisions for him, and someone could easily hold him back or hold himself back, but honestly, that's really all he's got going on. I wish him the absolute best. And here is Avery's older brother, Gabriel. Unlike his brother, he is actually way more confident in himself, and unlike most men of this time period, instead of staying home and kind of taking over the family business as is his birthright, he decided to just let his brother have it and pursue his own thing, and which included following a soulmate to Willow Creek. So let's bring his soulmate here. Just like Avery, he kind of went after older women, because he's still, how old are you? I think you're a young adult. No, you're actually still a teenager. You're just older than your brother. But let's give a quick overview of your name is not David, wow, of Gabriel, just so we remember who he is and what he's like. He is egotistical, relaxed, a bro, and stone-hearted. He knows Wittenbergish, doesn't really know much Simlish. I feel like technically he should because his mom spoke Simlish, but I'm not changing that right now. I don't care. He is straight, technically part of the gentry class because as we can look down here, he has over 270,000 simoleons in his bank account. Not thanks to him, but because of the woman he married. He is asexual, and does not believe in the occult. He's also has the caregiver and gesture, I don't know, traits. But this is him. He looks just like his father as usual. So he went off to move to Willow Creek and married this older woman named Avery Jones, who already had family and a life of her own, but she was widowed. Somehow or another came across Avery. Ignore how modern the background here looks. Somehow or another came across Avery. These two realized they were soulmates and got married. They, at first, did not have children together, but I am pretty sure she's pregnant. Normally I wouldn't check these things, but this isn't one of my main households or a side household that I'm playing, so I have no problem with cheating. Gabriel Jones. Okay, yes, so she's actually pregnant with Gabriel's son, which I'm sure he will be excited about when he realizes, when they realize they're having children. She's not really going to be really happy about it, but I think it'll be okay. She's just already had a bunch of kids and she's closer to being an elder than not, so I don't know. You married a teenager, so I think you should have been prepared for this, you know? But she lives with a lot of people. Most of these people are not part of their household, but in this household, she has her 2 daughters and her son, and as well as some other people who I think were related to her late husband, if I'm not mistaken. Who are you? Yeah, I think these are her late husband's siblings? Question mark? Who are you? I don't know. I actually don't know who these people are, but they all live together, including some werewolves. So Avery now does in fact know werewolves exist because he lives with them. She's not a werewolf and neither are her children, and neither is Gabriel. Once again, all of my side households are human, but my main household, not quite. And one main household, Harrison, is about to be a side household in the next few years, so maybe not then either. But this is Yvette. Yvette has some children here, and one of those children is really important. This is one of her sons, or I think her only son. His name is Malachi. And we'll go deeper into this a little bit later, but actually he is Joan, who is a different side character, one of, who's her father? One of Nasir's daughters. Philippa, sorry, not Joan. Philippa and him are actually soulmates. So when we get to Philippa eventually, and I talk about her soulmates, she has 3. Once again, that's for later on in this episode. But this is actually one of her soulmates and the father of one of her children. So when I say, what's your name, Malachi? I'm talking about this guy specifically. And it just so happens to technically be Gabriel's stepson, which I think is a little awkward, but honestly, I think he chose to marry this woman. One, they're soulmates, but from what I've seen with the soulmate mod so far, there are plenty of soulmates who actively choose not to be with each other for one reason or another. He could have actively chosen not to get with her and or anything like that, but he made the decision to get with her, and because it would get him all of this money and all of this property. So I'm not sure what the relationship between him and Malachi is, if it's good or if it's bad, because Malachi just essentially just got one-upped in terms of his access to the household funds, but it's honestly more than enough to share. But yeah, I think because of Gabriel's personality, that this was less of a move of love and more of a move of thinking about his future. He has an older wife. He'll eventually get like a kid or two out of her. I don't even think he necessarily cared about having children with her. It just kind of happened. But now having a child, especially having a son, would be very beneficial. She's older, so even if she lives to the end of her life, he'll still have plenty of life to spare and essentially have more money than he would have ever gotten living the humble lifestyle he was born into. So I don't know. He is playing chess for sure. He's playing chess. Everyone else around him, they're not even playing checkers. They're not playing a game at all. But yeah, so that's him. Once again, just like his brother, a little interesting, but nothing necessarily dramatic. This is Nura's household, and this is Nura herself. Just a quick recap on Nura as to why we're even in this predicament. Nura, had some issues in her childhood that included dying and then being revived. Realizing that she was actually a lesbian and falling in love with someone in her village, following said girl from her village to be her nanny while being secretly in love with her. The girl who she followed to be a nanny for also realized eventually in her unhappy marriage that she was also a pansexual who was in love with Nura, and they formed a secret lesbian affair behind the back of her husband. Her husband found out, was less upset about the fact that he was being cheated on and more upset about the fact that he was being cheated on and didn't even have a son. His actual wife couldn't really bear him a son. He told Nura and his wife that Nura had a couple chances to bear him a son, or he was going to essentially tell everyone in the village that what these two did, which would most likely lead to them being killed and executed, because not only were they having an affair, it was a gay affair. But through a series of strange events, she eventually did end up having a son for him, and that son survived. So, well, one of them survived. And so they've been living pretty amicably for now. Yeah, that's the quickest recap I can possibly give. On to her children. So she actually, out of all the children she had, she only had 2 surviving ones. She had 5 kids and only 2 of them were alive. It was almost 3, but you know, my luck is bad. So this is her eldest child and currently only daughter, Liecia. Nura is not a good mother, and Liecia is clear evidence of that. So here's a quick recap on Liecia's personality. She is a teenager, almost a young adult. She's melancholic, pessimistic, moody, and jealous. She does believe in the occult. She is an ally, is straight and asexual, and yeah, technically a peasant as well, and speaks Simlish. She's alluring and a lover. All these cool things she is. So what has she been up to? Not much. She still lives at home, as we can see. She still lives at home, and she's unmarried, but she does in fact have a child out of wedlock. She's not widowed, she just had a child out of wedlock. So she met this man named Aditya Kumar. Don't know how these two came across each other. Let's pretend that he looks more medieval than he did. But somehow or another they came across each other, realized they were soulmates, had a moment of passion together, but he was married, and it would be... he was not in a position, or / probably just didn't want to leave his wife for Liecia, which is pretty heartbreaking for her considering she really glamorizes romance and connections and stuff like that because she never got it from her mother or her father. And so she was kind of naive and assumed things would be different at this point in her life, but they're not. So she's currently single, staying at home, not working, and I guess waiting on a husband. I'm not really sure what she's doing, but she has a little girl named... Is this your child? Marcella? Are you her child? Yes, you are. She has a little girl who is currently an infant. Like, this was a very recent development with this pregnancy. This is Maricela, who is about to be a toddler, actually. This is Maricela, who is Liecia's cute, adorable little daughter. She's been taking care of her pretty well. But you know, she still has her melancholies and her sadnesses and everything, but I don't know. She's trying to keep hope up for some things, but she's just, I don't know. She's really sad. She's always been a bit sad about her life, and this current situation, especially bringing a child into the mix, didn't necessarily make her happier. So this is definitely a more gloomy update than anything. So I'm really hoping she falls in love with someone who loves her back and chooses to be with her, and she's able to leave this house once and for all, and she and Maricela can be happy together. That's my hope for Liecia. Now, on to her little brother, who is the only surviving son of this man Armando. His name is Philip. He is the golden child of the family because between his stepmom, who he's not really a stepmom, he treats and refers to her as such. As you can, they're actually talking right now. They have a pretty green bar. This is his father's actual wife. His mother was technically a mistress of sorts, but he is the only son between the two of them and the golden child of the family. And unbeknownst to him, the only reason his mother and stepmother are even currently alive. So what? Well, recap. He is love struck. So he falls in love pretty easily, which I can see. And when I explain what he's been up to, he's a daredevil and amusing, so all around a pretty good sim. He's straight and aromantic and has some pretty high self-esteem. He does not believe in the occult. He's alluring and a jester and a hero. And possessed. Yeah, he's possessed. Quick recap. Nura really needed a boy because she lost the first one. If she didn't have one the second time, or if it didn't survive, she would be in the dirt right now. We would not be having an update on this household because she'd be dead a long time ago. But she took a potion from a fae to ensure that she would have a child, that she would ensure she had a son specifically. But whenever you use magic or potions or anything to interfere with pregnancy in any capacity, whether it's fertility, gender change, whatever, it poses a risk for the children to develop a curse in their childhood years that'll follow them for the rest of their life. And unfortunately, Philip got a curse. He is not the only one of my sims to be cursed. There's another household that has a house full of cursed children because of the excessive use of fertility potions. But he has the possessed sim, which basically means he walks and talks. Right now he looks pretty normal, but he mostly just does the walk like 2 feet to the left, brother. Walk to the left. To the left. Yeah, he kind of does this, which sure, I don't care about your dynamics. Yeah, he kind of does that. So it's a struggle for him to form connections with anyone else because they all think something's wrong with him. They all think he's possessed, which is technically true, but when he's not walking and talking strangely, everything else is fine. Armando is kind of living with it because this is his only male heir. He can't complain too much because at least he's alive? Question mark? But anyways, unlike his sister, he actually did get married. So he married this woman who was older than him. My male sims really like milfs, and she actually they have a bit of a complicated relationship. Okay, how do I start with this? She hasn't necessarily been married before, but she has had children before with this familiar face here. We all know who this is. It's John. Wow. They were soulmates. They felt a connection with each other, but they didn't really find each other very attractive or compatible. But so that relationship kind of ended. And, you know, being a woman in that predicament, a man, you can kind of just leave. Being a woman, it's pretty suspicious if you're not widowed and have children. You know what I mean? And she doesn't even like children, but she had 2 of them with that man. So don't know why she'd do all that, but she had 2 kids with that man before she even met Philip. They met Philip. At first, she had a relationship with Philip, but not necessarily, you know, they weren't necessarily like dating or anything like that. But she realized that she was pregnant at the time with Philip's daughter, Joan. Okay, Nura, can you get off your granddaughter, or at least pick her up so we can look at her, cuddle her, so you can pick her up, please. Thank you. So he had a daughter with her named Joan, and while she was pregnant, she did say that it was most likely his, and he took full responsibility and just was like, all right, well, we should get married. I will perfectly fine being a stepfather to the children you had before, and I'm perfectly fine being a father to the child we'll have together, which is this girl named Joan, who is right here, who looks super, super cute and adorable. And they kind of relented. So it was more of a marriage of convenience. It saved Abby's neck, which is her name. This is Abby. It saved her neck because being her age, unwidowed, and pregnant out of wedlock with another child would be... She was already not in a good predicament, and this is as best as she could get. She's not necessarily happy with it. She's not happy to have all of these kids that she has to take care of. But at least she has some form of stability and a husband, so the social repercussions of it all isn't too bad. But the house is getting really cramped. Armando doesn't make nearly as much money as he used to. He's simply a tool maker, which is just not cutting it anymore because there's essentially 4 families living in the house. Before, all the girls were in this room. Nura stayed in this room, sometimes with her lover. Philip stayed in this room because he's the only boy, and Armando and / his lover Christine would stay down here as well. And it was generally okay. But now it's like Nura, Christine, Armando, Liecia and her child, Philip and his wife, and their combined 3 children. Wait, whose child are you? One of these kids? Yes, and their combined multiple children. Wait, you're Marciela. Yeah, and they're combined. Jorge, Matthias. Who are you? Oh, I know who you are. I know who you are now. Sorry. Yeah. I know who you are. They're combined children, and then this child here, who's an orphan, his mother was one of Philip and Liecia's half sisters who passed away, and so he came to live here. So it's a bunch of toddlers, an unmarried woman with her children, and a whole separate family. Honestly, Philip's family could fit if they had one extra room to just push all the children in, but with Liecia and her child here, that's a lot more difficult. So it's getting pretty cramped. They're running out of money because the only people working in are Armando and Philip, who followed his father's footsteps and became a blacksmith's apprentice, but he only makes 4 simoleons an hour. And they have 17, so hopefully things work out. None of the other women work. Yeah. Actually, no. Nope, Liecia doesn't work either. Yeah, none of the other women work, and there's like 5 children here, and none of them can take care of themselves, which is why none of the women are working. They're all juggling 5 kids between each other, so that's where this household is. I can get a double whammy right now because they both just live together, but yeah. Right, on to the most extensive household, being Nasir's bloodline. And here we are, right across the street from Nura's house, at her twin brother Nasir's house. Now, for those of you who either don't recall or are just joining us for the first time, Nasir died long ago and left behind his wife, who we're looking at right now, named Felka, who is free to remarry and have kids as she wants. She's technically not part of my family household or anything like that, but she just decided not to, which is fair. She's been pregnant a lot. If you're following, if you know, you know. She's been pregnant quite a bit. And as you can see, the household is way emptier than it used to be. And we're going to discover why. So this isn't about Thelka. First and foremost, I guess we'll go over this. As you can see, she lost a child. They did recently lose a sim who I was really sad about. Because we all had expectations for this sim. We all made jokes about it. But I am sorry to announce that Nasir's only surviving son, Walter Smith, did in fact pass away. When I checked the family tree to figure out why he passed, because we just saw him at the recent wedding, death by drowning. So I'm not exactly sure what exactly happened. Last time we saw him, he was at the recent wedding that we had. Amis just recently got married. So I'm gonna say that whatever carriage he was in, whatever he was riding in on his way back to Willow Creek, there must have been an accident or something, and it had to have fallen into a river, and he did not survive that, and he drowned. He was married, but they never had children together. They had an odd relationship, which I was going to explain, but I can't find her anywhere. I don't know if she's dead or alive or anything, because they didn't have children. She's not showing up on the family tree. And I think MC Command Center called useless friendships because nobody else in the family knows where she is, or I can't even find her. So I'm just going to say that they all just completely lost contact with her, or maybe she also drowned alongside him. Who knows? Nobody does. So I'm gonna get off of this so I don't spoil too much of what else we're going to be talking about. But yes, so Thelka still lives here in the original Nasir house where they raised all their children here in Willow Creek. But the only person still here is actually Joan. Now, as you can see, Joan is not married. Okay, come on, Joan. Joan is not married. She is beautiful, completely single though. Now let's remember who Joan is. She is our evil sim, which I am actually still surprised by because Nasir was not a good person, and we have a lot of jokes about him being a terrible person with an army of daughters, and those daughters giving him absolute hell and just turning out to be evil little demons. And actually Joan turned out to be the worst one. The other ones are generally fine in terms of personality. She's evil, stone-hearted, self-conscious, loves the outdoors, straight cis, and has general allergies. And she does not believe in the occult. She just came back from a wedding of a cousin who is physically blue. So I don't know why she doesn't believe in the occult, but I'm gonna let her choose to believe what she wants. Now, she is in a little bit of a sticky situation. Being that, you see this cute little girl right now here named Liecia Smith. She is absolutely adorable. She is Joan's daughter. I didn't mean to turn on caps lock. She is Joan's daughter. They are absolutely adorable. But she did in fact have this child out of wedlock. She is not widowed. She got pregnant out of wedlock. Bye. Can you get off the desk? I can't see you. Come over here. Do something. This is a weird house to navigate. She had her with this man here, John, the familiar face I was talking about. So yes, a little bit, how do I say this? John was one of the contestants to possibly marry a sim in my main household recently, or a few years back. It didn't work out, but I talked about how around that time Joan had just given birth to his child, and it would be kind of interesting to see that sim who we were searching for a husband for kind of take Joan's sloppy seconds, which is a weird way to put it, but that's just the first thing that came to mind. Luckily that didn't happen, but yes. But she and John didn't work out. John is a little bit of a hoe. He has a lot of kids with a lot of women who are only one of them is his wife, and that's a recent development. He had kids way before then. But recently she did it again, and she's currently due at any moment with the child of a man named Rocky, who is also married. Don't ask me why all of her soulmates are married men, but she seems to have a type. I wonder if a specific cousin of hers kind of got inspired by Joan's stories of her escapades, but who knows? Who knows? That cousin seems to be following in her footsteps, or wants to be, at least. But yeah, this is her. Once again, they're all still kind of reeling from Walter's death, especially Joan. Joan was actually Walter's twin sister. But yeah, so I don't know what she's having. What are you having, sister? She is currently pregnant with twin boys. Okay. It's really interesting to get pregnant with twin boys after all this, but so soon she'll pop out 2 boys and we'll see. She's not necessarily looking for love or anything like that. She's relatively evil. She wants to be public enemy. She likes being outside. I don't know whether she does or doesn't or anything like that, but she has some high self-esteem, so for now I think she's fine, and she has her mom Thelka helping her. They don't have the most money, but honestly, because there's so few of them, for now they're fine. As long as Joan doesn't birth an army, they should be a-okay in theory, but I'd highly recommend somebody get a job, or a husband. One of the two, or both, who knows. But yeah, so let's head off to visit one of her sisters. We haven't seen this lovely lady in a while. This is Elena, who is actually Nasir and Thelka's eldest surviving daughter. So eldest daughter. She was actually the first to leave the house. As soon as I let go of control of their household, she left almost immediately. And she moved to Oasis Springs. She moved to this cathedral here in Oasis Springs. At the time, there's a witch at the door. But ignore that witch. At the time, this cathedral, and in this cathedral lived a woman, her lover, and their children. And she was and Elena was kind of renting out a room for a bit, staying here to just kind of get away from Willow Creek for once, explore. She wants to find her soulmate, which she still hasn't found, unfortunately, but I'm holding out hope. She's still mourning her brother, her baby brother, so that's perfectly understandable. So, recap on Elena. She's likable, darling, artistic, and a child of the village, and she's soft. Technically, it's as middle class because she's living at the cathedral. She's a peasant. She doesn't work. And her money that her father left behind before he passed away is clearly not enough for her to be middle class. Not even enough for the family still living at the house to be middle class. She didn't really necessarily want a child right now, but she does have one. And she's straight, doesn't believe in the occult or anything like that. She's a caregiver and a lover, so all she wants is to find her soulmate and become a mother. That's all she wants, basic everyday things, and it just didn't happen that way. So she moved in with this woman here, Madison Red Fox. What's your last name? Ryan Frank. Madison Ryan Frank at the time had a lover who wasn't necessarily I think they were a husband and they divorced. She had twins, like a daughter and a son who were toddlers. Her husband took the twins and she was pregnant at the time, so she kept the baby she was pregnant with. I don't know where her husband is. I didn't keep up with all that, but then it was just Elena's child, who I'll introduce you in just a second, and her child. Eventually, Siegfried moved in. Oh my gosh, Siegfried was created. I got Signy. What's your name? I got Siegfried from the gallery under the Queen Morgana UDC hashtag by Calypso of the Sea, who goes by a different gallery name that I can't remember right now. And yes, he's kind of like an evil doctor situation. So I imagine he lives at the cathedral and just kind of helps out anyone who, for a price, who may need some help. Kind of a evil plague doctor going on. He married this woman here. They have a child together, but he's also a stepdad. That's not important. What is important is this girl right here named Ada. Ada is Elena's child. And who is your father? It is this guy, who was also a candidate to marry Amisa at some point. If you don't recall, this was the drug dealer that was getting high while while Amisa's trying to figure out whether or not he was a good candidate for marriage. This is him, the baby daddy to Elena's daughter, Ava. I guess he got married after Amis because at the time he was unmarried. He's apparently educated. So Amis, that's why he was part of Amis's guild, because she was looking for someone suitable, but can't be suitable if you're high. But yeah, so there is Advic, and this is the daughter they created together. She's absolutely adorable. She's still a toddler. But yes, so I don't know. They're all still here living at the cathedral, but I think Elena isn't really happy here. I mean, she has her friends here, right? And I think having Siegfried here with the love of his life and their children and seeing where she is with her child and everything is just, it's a bit much. She really just wants a soulmate. But for now, she's just, life is lifing. Life is lifing for Elena for sure. So I don't know. I hope she does find her soulmate. That's really all she's ever wanted. I think when she first met Advic, it was so soon after she left the village, and she just had this idea of romance that, oh, you know, that night of passion will lead to a lifelong romance, and that's just unfortunately didn't happen for her. And so the naive dreams of that little girl who just wanted to leave Willow Creek to find love were quickly squashed by the reality of a young unwed woman who was now pregnant in Oasis Springs, which according to my lore and my personal gameplay is the lawless lands, which is technically one of the most dangerous places you could be in, because it's not under the official rule of any kingdom. So it's not under the official rule of Willow Creek or Windenburg or any of the other kingdoms that we haven't actually explored quite yet. But yes, so really unfortunate for Elena. Once again, I'm really hoping that she does find the love she so desperately wants, but for now it's her and her daughter in the cathedral in Oasis Springs, where they're relatively safe. We're not done. I said they had an army of girls and I wasn't playing. We are here in Brindleton Bay. I'm gonna turn this way so it looks more medieval. We're well, I can't see your face. Come face me. Come face me. Face me. Thank you. We are here in Brindleton Bay following two sisters who actually happen to be in the same household. So this is Hilda Smith, who was one of the triplets, one of the triplet girls. The triplets were Hilda, Philippa, and who are you? Hilda, Philippa, and Milicent? Yes, there we go. And Milicent. So Joan, she didn't follow the path of any of her sisters or any of the other Sims we've seen so far. The only thing is she's still unmarried, actually. And while she is unmarried, she is actually pretty content with that. So let's give her a quick little go over once again so we remember who she is. She is our socially awkward, vegetarian, brilliant sim who has the practice makes perfect trait as well. She's gifted, she has high self-esteem, she is straight, and technically a peasant. She has a cooking special interest, so she's just a provider altogether. And she wanted to kind of explore and work a little bit before settling down. So she actually works as a nanny currently and moved to Brindleton Bay to nanny for this guy, Kane Wheatley, who was also gotten from the gallery by I have to find it. I don't remember the creator's name off the top of my head. Was created by Calypso by the Sea as well. Hiru Mikage. Yep, that's how you pronounce that. Also, same person who made Siegfried and all that. And they have, this sim came with 2 toddlers who are aliens named Jolene and Jaquan. And so at the time, it was just Kane, Hilda, and the children. Kane and Hilda do not have any romantic relationship at all. They are strictly employer-employee relationship while she nannied for his children while he worked. It helps that she has alien cousins who are in our main household. If you're following the main series, there we go. If you're following the main storyline, she has alien cousins, so she's pretty used to seeing aliens around. She understands the importance of it and how difficult it can be, and everything like that. While she doesn't necessarily raised wild aliens, she has empathy for just people altogether, so she had no problem nannying for these alien children and keeping their secret and making sure they stay out of sight and until they're, able to control their alien forms and everything, and also just take care of them in general. And after a while, some more people moved in. So first and foremost, just because Kane's here, we might as well talk about what he's getting up to. He married this girl named Annika Wheatley, who is from Hemford-on-Bagley. Who are you again? I forgot. She's not from Hemford-on-Bagley. I forgot. She's actually Armando and Lady Christina's daughter. Which means she is Philip and Liecia's half-sister. And she had some kids out of wedlock by this guy named Kenichi. And then eventually somehow or another met Kane and they got married, and I think they have a child together. No? You have kids together? No, they just have a blended family right now. I don't know if she's pregnant or not, but as far as I'm aware, they have a blended family. So she has her children, and then, yeah, she's not pregnant. She has her children, and her children are step siblings with his 2 children. So they have a really unique and interesting blended family going on, which I think is really cute. So hopefully it grows, but not too soon because the house is pretty full. And it is full because Milicent actually lives here as well. So Milicent kind of followed the footsteps of some of her other sisters and got pregnant out of wedlock. Twice, actually. The first time she got pregnant with Catherine. Well, first, let me remind y'all who she is. First off, she's one of the triplets. She is thrill-seeking, high-maintenance, nurturing, and a cat lover. So I think she thrill-seeked a little too close to the sun, had some fun, and ended up with the baby. She's an ally, cis, doesn't believe in the occult, peasant, whatever. She's an ally and all that, and she had her daughter Catherine first. Let's take a look at Catherine. She is adorable. They all had really, really cute children. And her daughter's father is this guy named Sheldon. So Milicent actually met Sheldon in Oasis Springs. She was visiting Elena one of those first few months when Elena moved to Oasis Springs, before she even got pregnant and everything like that, when she first moved into the cathedral. Saw this man, they had a fling. It was fun, it was cool. Then she got pregnant, went back to Willow Creek, and gave birth there along the same time Joan did. So for a time, it was Helga, Joan, sorry, not Helga. It was Thelka, Joan, Milicent, and their 2 children. But I think Milicent decided to follow, what's your sister's name? I'm sorry. Follow Hilda, there we go, to Brindleton Bay just to get a little extra help, and got pregnant again. I think she was pregnant before she even came to Brindleton Bay, I think she moved here right when she got pregnant. And his father is this guy named Tetsu. I don't even know how she met a guy named Tetsu, because we haven't really interacted with that kingdom, the kingdom of Komorebi yet, or at all. But I guess she met someone from Komorebi. Maybe they were maybe it was someone passing through, like a traveling merchant or something from Komorebi, and they had a fling, and she was left with his child. So I don't know, but she ended up staying here. Luckily, even though this isn't her house, her employer Kane is such a friendly and good guy that he understood the situation. He's not one to judge, even for this time period. Let Milicent move in to kind of figure things out on herself. So Hilda, she still stays here and works and takes care of the children. And Milicent got a job as a midwife. She's actually currently a rat cleaner, so it's not the most luxurious job. It's not the best job, but it is something. So hopefully things start looking up for her soon. She's perfectly fine. Honestly, I don't think she's too upset about her situation, but it's not about her at this point. It's about her children, right? She can, feel perfectly content with her life and the way things are now as much as she wants. But at the end of the day, her children are going to grow up and be a little ostracized against their will, because of the mistakes of their mother. And that's just not fair to them, because they're guests in another man's house where their aunt works, right? It's not even like she's renting a place on her own if she can, or not even that she's necessarily staying in a home that her family owns. Her sister works here as a nanny, right? But what happens if her, the children grow up, or, Hilda decides to get married and move out? What'll happen to Milicent then? So I don't know. But for now, Kane and Hilda have a pretty good friendship, and he's just such a good guy that he's just allowing them to stay here as well. So this is her son, Emilio. Stop messing things up so we can see you. I did not give you this outfit or this hair. Why do you look like this? I'll give him a makeover. I'm pretty sure I already gave him one. I don't know. Maybe I pretended I did in my dreams or something. I don't know. Pretty sure I gave this man a makeover though. But yeah, he's a baby with red hair. That's really the most important part. Infants, you can't really see what they look like anyway, so it doesn't even matter. And so let's head off to our final sister. And last but not least, we have Philippa Smith. Philippa, let's just go over, she has a lot going on, but let's go over her traits first. She likes words of affirmation. She's a little timid, she's good, and a music lover. She's straight cis and a peasant and does not believe in the occult. All right, so with those traits, you would think she would become like a nun. You'd think she'd be the one to move into a cathedral, become a nun, perhaps sing in the choir at the nunnery, something like that. I don't know what happens at nunneries, but I imagine some singing is involved to some capacity. She and Helga are both very good and sweet Sims. So is Elena. Nasir had a lot of sweet daughters, and Lord, life happened for sure. But she is here in Brindleton Bay with Hilda and Milicent, but she lives on the opposite end of the village because, well, she got pregnant quite a few times. When her first time she got pregnant, she gave birth to this little girl here named Marjorie, who is really cute. I can already tell looks a lot like her daddy. She does not look like Milicent. Not that much. She doesn't look like Philippa, I mean. Not that much. So her father is... Come on. This guy named Brian, who I did not give a makeover to, so pretend this is like a medieval outfit here. He's married to a Tovar, which is interesting. Basically means he married from someone from a prominent family in Hemford-on-Bagley, basically. No idea what he's got on, but he's older than her. He's an adult, and somehow or another she met him. They had this baby together, and he was nowhere to be seen. But he doesn't really have any siblings or any surviving siblings. What the heck? Did you cheat on your wife? That's none of my business. What is my business is just coming to look at you. So this guy here. This guy is, I forgot his name. What's her name? Stuart. Stuart is the cousin of Marjorie's father. And I don't think Marjorie's father had any siblings. Okay, he had a lot of siblings. Okay, well, regardless of whatever I was about to say, long story short, Stuart basically knew that Philippa didn't really have anywhere to go. Technically she did. She had Willow Creek to go to, but I don't know, she wasn't there. But he was like, hey, you can come stay with me and my family, because at the time it was just Philippa and Marjorie. And he knew his cousin wasn't really going to step up, and at the time he had the room and the space, but things have gotten smaller and smaller since, so we'll see where things go from here. He's married to his wife here. Apparently he's cheating on her because I saw babies that were definitely not from her because they don't have gifts. So that's none of my business though. This girl named Shauna also lives here. I don't know what her deal is, but she got some kids in the household, but she's not really related to anyone here. Anyways, at first it was just Philippa and Marjorie and things were a-okay. She was just here, right? Then she met someone else and had this baby named Christopher, who was an infant. Pretty soon after she moved in, and Christopher's father is this guy named Yao. Once again, pretend that's medieval. I don't know. It says he's a vendor. I'm gonna take that as he's a cook worker. I'm so mad that I didn't write down that term. I literally looked at it earlier. But the thing that Malachi is trying to be, basically someone who like makes and sells pre-cooked goods like pies and sausages and cheese and stuff like that. He's one of those guys. I don't know how she came across him. I guess she was buying some sausage or something, and then they hit it off. And had a baby. She's not friends with this guy. I don't know. She hit it off. They had a baby together, and that baby is little Christopher. She's not done though, and she doesn't learn her lesson because she did it again. So at this point, she's clearly doing it on purpose. And as I said before, she's currently pregnant with Malachi's daughter. I think it's a daughter. I don't know. She's currently pregnant with Malachi's baby. So I'm not sure if Malachi knows or if she wants this or what, but she's just doing it back to... It is a girl. I knew I checked this earlier. But she'll be giving birth to his child sometime soon. I'm not sure exactly what will come of that. I don't think Gabriel cares, even if he did know that his cousin is technically pregnant with the child of his stepson, who is also around his age. I don't think Gabriel cares enough to even get involved. So yeah, that's her deal. So she's kind of in the weirdest predicament. Like, all of them are in the same predicament, but I think her and Milicent and Joan are like doing things in a really weird and almost dangerous way. Even if they don't really care about the social repercussions of this, they aren't really thinking about their children's futures. But I don't know. I don't know, man. Delka can't stop them. They're adult women. They can move and do things with their bodies as they please and choose. So, yeah. But that is it, guys. This is the update of the side households, what they've been up to and everything. I wish there were a lot more marriages, but even in my main household, it's difficult to find potential husbands for my female sims, but my male sims have no problem. As you can see, they're all hooked up somewhere. Yeah, so let me know which one is y'all favorite, who you're rooting for the most, which one surprised you, if any of them surprised you. And yeah, also, if there's a specific household or like any sims that you want to see on the gallery, with their children at least, let me know. All of them are on the gallery in their respective households. The daughters you can all find under Nasir's household. Marjorie's sons you can find in her household, and Nura's son and daughter you can find in their household. But if you want me to specifically add the children, not necessarily their parents, unless you want me to as well. But yeah, if there's anyone specifically you want me to add to the gallery so that you all can kind of see them and have access, let me know, and I'll gladly add it on there. But with that all said and done, thank you so much for watching. This was really fun, and I will be doing an update every decade or so, at the end of every decade or so. So the next one will come in around 1379, 1380. So we have a little ways to go, but it'll give these cute little fellas time to grow up and move on and just, I don't know, not make stank faces, I guess. But yeah, thank y'all so much for watching. Let me know if you want to see anything similar, and I'll see y'all in the next episode. Bye!